When we think about safety, our minds usually jump to things like rules, procedures, maybe some PPE. But what if the single most powerful safety tool wasn't a policy at all, but a behavior? Today, we're going to break down how you can transform safety from something you read in a binder into an active, visible leadership skill. And it all boils down to 3 simple but powerful steps.
We have to start right here. Just let this quote sink in for a second. It's from Lord Cullen's report on the Piper Alpha disaster, an accident that killed 167 people. This isn't just some corporate slogan to hang on a wall. It's a brutal reminder of what's at stake. Every single decision, every action, and maybe more importantly, every moment of inaction, it all adds up. This really sets the stage for everything we're about to talk about. And that quote points directly at the true enemy of a safe workplace. It's not a faulty piece of equipment, it's silence. It's that choice to not speak up, the decision to just walk on by, that feeling of, someone else will probably deal with it. We're about to see how that silence, that inaction, carries the highest cost imaginable.
So what is it we're actually trying to build? Well, at its very core, safety leadership is just a set of behaviors. That's it. It's not about your job title or how long you've been on the team. It's all about what you do, day in and day out, to actively create and protect a safe space for everyone.
So, where do you even begin? Well, the most important principle, the absolute bedrock of all of this, is simple. You cannot lead safety from behind a desk. Real safety leadership isn't managed through emails and spreadsheets. It's lived right out there in the field. It requires you to be present.
Now take a look at this list. What's really interesting here is that every single one of these principles is an action, a verb. Being seen means you actually get up and visit the worksite. Being approachable means people aren't afraid to bring you their concerns. Being consistent, committed, honest, and just plain being out there, these aren't things you are, they're things you actively choose to do every single day.
And this just drives that point home perfectly. You have to get out there, you have to talk with people in their own environment and see for yourself how the work is actually getting done. You need to see the conditions they're dealing with firsthand. Real understanding never comes from a report. It comes from being there, observing, and having a real conversation.
So how do you actually put all this into practice? Well, it all comes down to a really simple, easy to remember, and incredibly powerful framework. Just 3 steps: step out, step up, and step in. Let's break down exactly what each of these means.
All right, step 1. This is all about credibility. It's about walking the talk. If you expect other people to follow safety rules, you have to be the #1 example of it, no exceptions. This is where you build the trust you're going to need for the next 2 steps to even have a chance of working.
And walking the talk means your commitment doesn't just stop when the workday is over. Because believe me, people are always watching. When you set the right example, others will follow suit. Being approachable, being consistent, it shows your commitment is the real deal, not just for show.
Okay, once you've built that foundation of credibility, you're ready for step 2. And honestly, this is the hardest one, by far. But it's also the most important. This is that moment of truth, where you have to make a choice. Are you going to be a bystander, or are you going to be a leader?
It's so easy to talk about, right? But to actually do it, to stop a job, to challenge a coworker, that takes real guts. But you have to remember that any moment is the right moment to intervene, because that one single intervention could be the one that saves someone's life.
This slide draws a very clear line in the sand. A bystander, they stay silent. And that silence sends a message, whether you mean it to or not. It says, I see what's happening and I'm okay with it. But a leader intervenes. And that action doesn't say, I'm telling on you. It says, I care about you, I've got your back. They stop the work to make things right.
This right here, this is the mantra you have to burn into your brain. If you walk past an unsafe act, if you see an unsafe condition and you do nothing, you have effectively approved it. You've given it your stamp of approval. There is no middle ground, there's no gray area here. Silence is consent. Period.
But hey, intervention isn't always about correcting something negative. It's also about reinforcing the positive. When you see somebody doing the right thing, going that extra mile for safety, take a second to acknowledge it. Praise good safety practices out loud. That's how you build a culture where everyone is thinking safe, working safe, and ultimately going home safe. Okay, so you've set the example by stepping out. You found the courage to step up. That brings us to the final critical piece of the puzzle. Step in.
This is your game plan. It gives you the practical script for how to engage with someone respectfully and, just as important, how to follow up.
Look at how this whole process is built on respect. You're not just marching in and barking orders. You start a conversation. You begin by asking them to explain the risks, which shows you actually value their knowledge. Then you calmly state what you saw, you check to make sure you're on the same page about the standard, and then you agree on a way forward together. This is how you get people to buy in, not just comply.
But listen, your job is not done when that conversation is over. The follow-up is everything. It's non-negotiable. You have to circle back and confirm that the action you agreed on was actually taken. And if it wasn't, you escalate. You don't just walk away and hope for the best. You do not let unsafe work continue. This is what closes the loop and proves that safety is the top priority no matter what.
And so, here we are, full circle, right back where we began. Step out, step up, step in. These aren't just steps in some corporate process. They are your individual contributions. And like Lord Cullen so powerfully reminded us, the sum of those contributions, well, it has the highest stakes possible.
So we've laid out the playbook for being a safety leader, the principles, the mindset, the actions. The only question left is a personal one, for you. Now that you've seen the steps, what will your contribution be? Will you be a bystander, or will you be a leader?